Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
Okay, I was waiting for our chairperson to log in. He said he's gonna do it, but probably he has some technical difficulty. Oh, he's here. Okay, Elias, I'm gonna promote you. Elias, I'll take it away. Elias, are you gonna start the meeting? Okay, good evening, everyone. Sandra from Fire Department, you want to introduce the meeting? On behalf of Community Board 12 Manhattan, I would like to say thank you to everyone participated in this workshop, fire prevention workshop tonight. We set this meeting because of what happened at the beginning of February in the Bronx, a big fire that many people died, and we want to prevent these type of fires in our district. And the fire department is willing to have these workshops to give us some tips how to prevent the fires and what to do in case of fire. So take it away. Fire prevention.
Hey, good evening. I thought you wanted to wait for Sandra to make an introduction, but that's okay. I'll be more than happy to start the meeting off.
Okay, we can do it later when she's available and when Elias is available.
Not
Okay?
a problem, not a problem.
Okay, so we need to give respect to the people here with us.
Okay, all right. Let me start off by saying thank you for having me. My name is Captain Joe Delegati from the 14th Division. Basically, I'm on loan from the field to help out fire safety education and giving seminars and fire safety workshops. We know there was the tragedy earlier in the year, and of course there was that tragedy a couple of years ago also in the Bronx. But you want to know something? Fire safety should be known all year round. Okay, we don't have to wait for a tragedy to happen for us to have some sort of refresher or some sort of workshop.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. It is possible you get a little closer to the microphone because you sound a little far away and a little bit. And let's introduce yourself. And my name is Ebenezer Smith. I am the district manager of Community Board 12. I want to welcome everyone, and please, introduce yourself and get closer to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now? I think you're muted.
Yes, much better, much better.
Okay, great. Very good, very good. All right, my name is Captain Delegati. I'm on loan from the field. Basically, I work at a firehouse over in the 14th Division, and basically I'm giving fire safety education a hand and doing some of these seminars and these workshops for the community. When we talk about fire safety, we talk about the 3 P's of fire safety. We talk about prevention, we talk about protection, which is early detection, and we talk about planning, having a plan of escape. And, some people, this could be a refresher course, and some people, this could be an introduction. So, but it's all basically, it's all good to know. And what I want to start off with is by asking maybe yourself, you could take down this number and take down the name of this program. It's called Sound the Alarm Program. Sandra could probably tell you more about it, basically. And but I'll tell you what it's about, and maybe she can spread the information. Sound the Alarm Program is basically a program of retired firefighters and the American Red Cross in conjunction. Excuse me for a second, my throat is dry. All this talking and stuff. In partnership with the American Red Cross, what they do is they come to your home, they install smoke detectors in your home. And basically, it's a 10-year lithium battery smoke detector, which I have in my hand. And you don't have to replace the batteries anymore because it has a battery inside of it. What they'll do is they'll install it. And the best part about it is everything's for free. The detectors are free, and so is the labor to put it in. And it has a 10-year lithium battery, like I said, so you have to change your batteries anymore. When we talk about prevention, we talk about, it could be anything. It could be from fires caused by carelessness with cigarettes. If you do smoke cigarettes, make sure you're not laying down or sitting on a couch where you can fall asleep. Also, don't smoke while you're imbibing in some sort of medication or some sort of alcoholic beverage and you're laying down. That could be a recipe for disaster. Could be a fatality. Also, what comes with cigarettes is matches and lighters. Please keep matches and lighters away from children. Keep them locked up. Keep them up high so small children can't get to them. And unfortunately, playing with matches can cause a fire. Also, sometimes carelessness with candles. If you do use a candle, make sure it's in a sturdy holder. Give it at least 3 to 4 feet of space from something combustible, something that can catch fire. And like I said before, use a sturdy holder. And also, when you leave the room, extinguish it. Don't leave a candle lit. Somebody can knock it over. And what could also happen is also if you leave a candle on top of a table, and maybe say you have a dry plant or something. I mean, one of those leaves falls off that plant and onto the candle. It could also cause a fire. Other things that cause fires. Electrical fires. Electrical fires can be caused by the misuse of appliances. If as small as this is, now yesterday was 70 degrees, now today was like 30 degrees. So as small as this is, it's still considered an appliance, a space heater. And this appliance needs its own dedicated outlet. So you have to plug it into the outlet directly, not into an extension cord, into an outlet. Okay. As small as this is also an appliance. Now, when it gets hot out, people purchase air conditioners. That's also an appliance. Appliances need to be plugged directly into the wall, not into an extension cord, then into the wall. Okay? Because a fire could happen right back of that wall, and it could spread up the wall, causing fatal consequences. If you do purchase any type of electronic or appliance, make sure it has a UL on it, which stands for Underwriters Laboratory. Underwriter's laboratory means it's been tested for what it's supposed to be used for. So make sure it has a UL. Stands for Underwriter's Laboratory. Other types of causes of fires could be kitchen fires. When you're cooking in the kitchen, if possible, try to have a tight-fitting lid handy. So if there is a fire in the pan, you can put that tight-fitting lid over the fire, takes the oxygen component out of the fire, and it'll self-extinguish. Also, never have the handles of the pot of the pan sticking out, because something could knock it over. And if it's filled with water or grease, it could burn somebody. So try to keep the handles in. We also insist that when you're cooking, keep an eye on what you're cooking. Don't just disregard it. Don't just put it on the stove, turn the stove on, and then walk away. Keep an eye on what you're cooking. Don't disregard it. Make sure you keep an eye on it. We say stand by your pan. If for some reason, like I said, there is a grease fire and you don't have a tight fitting lid, with the gloved hand, you could use baking soda. Just throw some baking soda on top of it. It has carbon, not carbon. It has sodium bicarbonate. Basically, it smothers the fire, takes the oxygen component out of the fire, but it's not a liquid, because we don't want you mixing a liquid with the hot grease fire. Because if you YouTube it, you can also see videos that it can splatter in your face or can splatter on you. It can burn you. So please be careful when you're cooking. In your home, if you do choose, you can to purchase fire extinguishers. If you do get a fire extinguisher, make sure it's an ABC fire extinguisher. Category A, ordinary combustibles, paper, clothing, wood. Category B, flammable liquids. Flammable liquids could be grease, hot oil, anything like that. Category C, energized electrical equipment. Your toaster in your kitchen, if for some reason it catches fire and it's plugged in, it's an energized electrical equipment. It's a dry powder, and you can stand a safe distance away from it to extinguish it, 3 to 4 feet. Okay? And we basically, if I was showing up live to your community board meeting, I'd hand out these books, fdnysmart.org. Okay? And inside it actually tells you how to use it. Just remember the acronym PASS, P-A-S-S, pulling the pin, first P. A stands for aiming at the base of the fire. S stands for squeezing the handle. And the second S stands for sweeping side to side with your back out. Okay, so remember PASS. So if you do purchase this fire extinguisher, try to familiarize yourself with it. Okay, don't just buy it, throw it in a closet. Hang it up somewhere where you can find it. Okay, those are some things you can do. Now, like I was talking about before, early detection. Early detection is so important. With the smoke detectors, there's a program called Sound the Alarm Program. And the number is 1-877 Red Cross. That's 1-877 Red Cross. Leave off the last S for safety. Or 1-877 733 2767. Leave your information, they'll call you back, they'll set up an appointment. And they'll bring as many as you need, and they'll install them, and everything's for free. Excuse me. Also, it's safety. Conduct fire drills in your home. Know what type of building you live in. What type of, if you live in an apartment building, there should be some sort of fire safety plan given to you by the building management, your super, your landlord. And it tells you what to do if fire is not in your apartment or fire is in your apartment. Now, there's private homes. Okay, there's private homes where if fire is in your home, have a plan. If one of your rooms in your home is filled with smoke, get down low. Get to a wall. All walls lead to windows and doors. When you get to the door, feel the door at the back of your hands. If it's hot to the touch, don't open up that door. You may have to use a window to escape. And if you're up on an upper floor to use that window, basically, if that window doesn't have a fire escape, wave something out the window, or even at night, just flash your flashlight out. Because usually on an alarm, where the fire department shows up, you do have a team of firefighters walking around the perimeter of the building to see if anybody's in a bad way and if anybody's trapped. Now, there's two types of buildings. Like I said, there's fireproof multiple dwellings and there's non-fireproof multiple dwellings. And it's basically up to each and every individual to basically either ask their landlord what type of building they live in, what construction, or they could actually look it up on Department of Buildings website under the building information search. And I see your lips moving. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or you should unmute yourself. Any questions so far? Any questions? Can you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you could hear me? Anybody?
We have a question right now from an attendee from Cheryl Miller. Gonna allow you to talk, Cheryl.
Thank you, Ebenezer. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear. You said that you can go on Department of Buildings, BIS, to see if your building is fireproof or not. So when you go to BIS, what do you look under?
You just put the address of the building and then you press on the box that says go, and it'll actually show you certificate of occupancy, and it'll say what type of construction it is. Or if you want to make it a little bit simpler for yourself, if you really can't navigate the Department of Buildings website, just call 311 and they'll hook you up with the Department of Buildings website, and hopefully, because I work for the fire department, I don't work for the Department of Buildings, they can actually answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
We have a few typing here. Let's see. Question: is possible to organize a fire drill for a particular building? Is one of the questions that we have here from Ms. Marina Ruiz Molina.
Yeah, you can always organize a fire drill. I really can't promise that the fire department will be there to help you out with it, but you can always organize one yourselves.
So do you have can you go over any special tips for seniors in in case of fire, how to avoid fire? You went over, but and is there any specific thing for seniors that you can refresh and bring it to our attention?
Yeah, basically for seniors, try to basically not wear loose clothing while you're cooking. So something that catch fire while you're cooking. And I mean, doesn't matter if you're a senior, doesn't, you can be a young person too. Just stand by the stove while you're cooking. I don't want to pick on the seniors and say they're absent-minded or anything like that, because anybody can be. And when you have fire drills at home, and if you have a family setting, have somebody in charge of maybe, just in case there's a toddler or an infant, they're in charge of the toddler or the infant. But also, if there's an elderly person in your home, make sure somebody makes sure in your drill, make sure that somebody helps them get out.
Okay, we have another question here. You mentioned that do you recommend that tenants purchase fire extinguisher? Do you know how much they cost?
Well, when I bought mine a couple of years ago, they cost for a 2-pack, it was about $40.
Is there any specification for the lay person to buy a extinguisher?
Yeah, like I said before, an A, B, C for category A, category B, and category C fires, which are usually the type of fires that are in your home. It's a dry powder.
And is there any recommendation for family with children under 10, 7, toddlers? Any recommendation that the fire department has for family with toddlers?
Yeah, try to keep matches and lighters away from the kids. Practice safety. Practice fire drills with the kids.
What about gas leaks and gas explosion? Is there any specifications? Most of the residents that we have in Community Board 12, they're apartment buildings. We had some cases a few years ago where there had been an explosion and the whole building had been destroyed by this explosion because of gas leak. A specific recommendation that you can give us?
Yeah, if there's a gas leak in your home and you smell gas, get out safely and call 911 from at least 500 feet away from the building.
How many feet away again?
Excuse me?
How many feet you should get out of away from the building?
I'd say about 500.
And for the layperson, 500 feet will be more or less like a half a block, or what?
I would say try to figure out 100 feet from your home and then times that by 5.
We have another question from the public. Can you say something about the use of elevators in case of fire?
Yeah, don't use them. Don't use the elevator. An elevator basically is, you want to know, let me go on because I stopped you at the halfway point for the questions and answers. Now let me go on about playing your escape. Now, in a fireproof multiple dwelling, fire is in your apartment, leave, but make sure you close the door. Make sure you close that door because we don't want the smoke to go into the hallway. And then if it goes into an unclosed staircase, it could hurt people, okay, that are trapped in the stairs or the hallway. All right. But if you're in a fireproof multiple dwelling, non-combustible building, it is recommended that you shelter in place if the fire is not in your apartment. So if the fire is not in your apartment, in that type of building, fireproof multiple dwelling, high rise, doesn't have fire escapes, you can shelter in place if fire is not in your apartment. If for some reason smoke is permeating from the apartment and now it's going down the hallway, which you can if somebody leaves the door open. We don't want anybody going into that hallway. So what you could do is you could take towels and put it underneath the door. And hopefully it'll stop the smoke from coming in. But always leave that communication with 911 open. If there is smoke coming into your apartment, call 911. Tell them, hey, my building's on fire. And they'll know that already because somebody already called. And just tell them, hey, there's smoke coming into my apartment. I'm having difficulty breathing. The chief in charge will send a ladder company to that apartment and make sure everybody's okay. Now, if you're in a combustible building, non-fireproof multiple dwelling, it's a lot to absorb, right? It's tough for everybody to absorb it. It's even tougher for me to pronounce it. Combustible building, non-fireproof. Usually they're roughly about, tallest is around 6 to 7 stories, usually has fire escapes on the outside. Fire can spread from one apartment to another. That's just the type of construction it is. It might be brick on the outside, but it can spread from one apartment to another. Unfortunately, if there's fire anywhere in that building, especially if it's your own apartment, you have to get out. Even if the fire is not in your apartment, you have to get out. If you basically have a plan, you may have to use your fire escape. So please don't put anything in front of that fire escape which will impede your way to get out. Don't put anything on that fire escape which might impede people from coming down the fire escape. Okay? What we don't want to happen is we don't want somebody escaping into the hallway, and now the hallway is filled with smoke because maybe the door was left open. So please, if you have to escape your apartment that's on fire, close the door. But if you're going into the hallway, please don't use the elevator, because what could happen is an elevator is basically a box, electronic, which is in a shaftway, which is like a chimney. So now, if smoke gets into that shaftway, it could rise. And then it could rise up to the elevator car, and it could trap you in there with fatal results.
Do you have any
But
recommendation?
your plan, 1 minute. But your plan doesn't stop there. Make sure that everybody practices having a safe meeting location outside to make sure everybody's accounted for. Okay? Because sometimes in the fire, people might have gotten out, but their family members weren't at their safe meeting location. And unfortunately, people might, because we don't want anybody to go back in. So make sure everybody goes to a safe meeting location. So nobody goes back in while their loved one was outside safe and sound, but the person that went back in got hurt because they were looking for one of their loved ones. And like we tell the children, when you go outside, stay outside. Don't go back inside. Don't hide, go outside. And like we say to the children, don't hide under the bed. Don't hide in the closet. Don't hide in the bathroom, filling up a bathtub full of water, thinking that's going to help you. Because unfortunately, it's not the fire, it's the smoke that's produced from the fire, the carbon monoxide and the heated gases, which causes the fatalities, which causes the smoke inhalation. You had a question?
Yes, it was. I don't think that we have that many in Washington Heights. Nevertheless, there are apartments that have fireplaces. In this time of year, people use it not really to heat the apartment or the house, but more for cosmetic and having fun, to have a fire in the living room, etc., etc. Do you have any specific recommendation for the use of fireplaces in apartment buildings?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'll have to check with fire prevention. I think fireplaces in apartment buildings are illegal. However, if you do decide, if maybe for some reason you have a fireplace, make sure there's a screen in front of it where the sparks don't come out of the fireplace. And basically make sure that there is a flue, a chimney where the smoke can escape. Not go into your apartment or home, but goes up the chimney.
We got a question from one of the participants. Will the fire department help neighborhoods to organize the best possible evacuation plan for a given building, especially if they are combustible building?
We already do. Basically, the landlord of the building, the building owner has to basically submit a plan to our headquarters where basically there's a floor, I believe it's fire prevention, and they have to sign off on a fire safety plan for your building.
And once the landlord has that plan signed up and approved by the fire department, is the landlord responsibility to share that plan with the tenants and how they can get it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be distributed to you every year with the lease. It's part of the fire safety plan. It's supposed to be hung on the back of the door.
One thing that happened very often in Washington Heights is that people lack, or they don't have the adequate fire gate in the fire escape, and they have a lack, et cetera, because we have uh, apartment being robbed by
Right.
people having access to the apartment via the fire escape, and they used to lock it with a padlock, et cetera, et cetera. This is a very common situation that apartment got robbed. You got robbery because the fire escape give access to the apartment. Recommendation for that one. What you have to recommend on that one?
Never use a padlock on your gate. I know it's tough because you don't want somebody coming back into your home, but you want to be able to get out. I believe that there are gates where you have to basically have a very long arm to reach inside to unlock it. But you can easily unlock it from the inside, but it's not that easy to unlock it from the outside. Yeah, I know it's a tough situation because you don't want somebody breaking in, but we want you to be able to get out though.
And what about people?
There's a lot of suggestions. I can tell you off the top of my head what we could do to stop people from breaking into your home, but that's not part of my job to talk about. My job is to talk about fire safety, not to talk about politics.
Mhm. What about a fire plan in a building when is a cooperative or condominium that is not a particular landlord, but it's a group of people owning the building? Who will be responsible for the fire plan and to the distribution?
The board of directors, because we've had that same question. Basically, what happened was they actually asked me, and then one of the people on the board was an attorney, and basically what he suggested is that they hire their own consulting company. You might have to pay a couple of dollars for it, and they could actually work out a plan with the property owners.
And in case of a fire in an apartment building, do you recommend that people go to the roof if
No.
people live in the?
No, because smoke rises. If smoke goes up that staircase, it goes up to the roof, and that roof door is locked, or they can't. Well, basically now they're all trampling each other to get up to that roof. Okay, that could prove fatal. They could all suffer smoke inhalation.
During the summertime, some people, they don't have access to parks, and they may have a fire escape, or they may have a terrace or balcony in their apartment. Can people barbecue in the balconies or the terrace that they may have in the buildings with gas grill or electrical grills?
That question you'd have to save for the department, the fire prevention department. Basically, it's a civilian branch of the fire department, and they could tell you all the specifics on that. I don't have that information at my disposal.
Mm-hmm. Sandra, you raise your hands. Go ahead.
Yes, to answer that question directly, you are not permitted. So on the terrace, I know that space is a all-time premium here in New York City. You are not permitted to barbecue on your terrace, your fire escape. by any means. That's a no across the board.
Thank you, Sandra.
Believe it or not, you have many people living in apartment buildings that they have different type of job, or they need to do things to make their livings, like a mechanics, painter, et cetera, and they have these flammable materials on fluid in their apartment for whatever reason. We know that this is against the law. You are not supposed to have flammable materials in your apartment, but in case somebody has to have it because it's a painter, it's a mechanic, and it happens to, that they work from home, or they need to, is there any recommendation for that, for people that have flammable liquids in their apartments?
No, there isn't. Basically, you can't have them in your apartments. Why would anybody have a flammable liquid in their apartment?
I don't know. Sometimes
It's very unsafe.
sometimes ignorance.
Same thing with e-bikes. Lithium batteries, chargers and stuff. There's just some things you just can't have in your apartment.
Well, is there any other question from the member of the public participating in this meeting at this time? I think I read all the question on the Q&A. Is there any other information that you would like to share with us this evening?
Yeah. When you get a chance, you can actually download FDNY Smart. Okay, it's a great book. We have it in all different languages. And for the seniors, we also have Fire Safety for Seniors, and we also have it in all different languages. Plus, we have videos, and we have basically learning tools for children also. It's all on FDNY Smart. You can look it up online.
So in the past, before the pandemic, we used to get these booklets, and we have it in the office to distribute to people. Now in these days, booklets are good, but you have more digital information. I would like to request, Sandra, if it's possible that the fire department can send us these links and we can blast to people. And yes, why not? You can send us some materials that we can have in the office to distribute, because people from time to time, they come to the office, and we anticipate that in a few weeks we should be fully back open, and people will come, and we have meetings in person. So Sandra, if it's possible, to send these booklets, and we can have it in the office, and the links, maybe we can coordinate and have like a every other week our anti-blast, like a fire prevention, the same booklets. I think that you have it now with videos. You can send the link to us. I'm more than happy to e-blast, how to use the candle, how to use the cooking, these different booklets that the fire department has in fire prevention. More than happy to distribute to our mailing list.
Would be happy to do so. We can coordinate a time to get some of the materials delivered to you.
Sure. And also the links. So is there any other question for the fire department, the fire safety education this evening? Is there any final comment from the fire department at this time? Well, hearing none, I just want to say thank you to the fire department and fire prevention education for coming out this evening to participate and give us some tips to prevent fires and also what to do in case of a fire. And also I want to say thank you for the participants, small group and good question that we have in the Q&A. On behalf of Community Board 12, I want to say thank you to everyone. And I would like to adjourn this meeting. More than happy to recall one of these sessions if it's necessary. I just want to say to everyone that this safety education training, it was live or is live on YouTube. I'm going to remain there in case somebody wants to visit our YouTube channel and see this presentation. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Stay safe.